Dobre došli, or welcome. This week really feels like the end of summer. It's been lovely and warm, but also the days are shortening and the jobs in the garden are declining slowly with these lovely warm days on their gradual way out of the season. And you can really feel the change in the garden. The grass doesn't need cutting as often and there are fewer jobs to do. So we're turning to home crafts again. I'll be mending a deer cardigan. We will be pruning, well, doing some very overdue pruning on my peach tree, and we're also going to be trying to rescue that crop of turnips which really hasn't sprouted or done anything. So let's dig in.
Bok, I'm Mandio. This is Grow, Make, Cook, and welcome to my garden. I grew up in Australia in a permaculture family, but after we got married, Mr. O and I moved here to his home country of Croatia. I am a passionate and hands-on homemaker and gardener, and I love life's simple pleasures. So join me on my journey, and together we can learn to grow, make, and cook. Seasonal change is in the air. In this, the first week in September, Oruyan.
This is a very dear cardigan of mine. I've had it for probably at least 10 years. I bought it when I was in New Zealand. And I've stopped wearing it because it's got these holes and pull marks everywhere. And I've decided that because I really don't wear it anymore anywhere, that I'm going to darn it closed. Now I don't have a matching wool, yarn, anything really, and that's a bit of a shame because it'll mean that I'm going to have to do it in a way that's visible. Now there are a lot of other little damage marks here around the collar, along the front. It's a very old cardigan, so what I'm doing today is giving it strength rather than beauty. It's not going to be a dress cardigan anymore. It's not going to be something I wear out. In fact, recently on our trip to England, I actually bought a replacement cardigan for this, a new brown cardigan, so that I've still got one to wear out, but this dear old one I want to keep. So we're going to start fixing it up. Now, I have a cup in my hands. When you're darning anything, you need to work against something so that you're not picking up the fabric underneath and so that you've got something solid to work against. You can buy darning eggs, which are just made of timber, but to be honest, I find it easier to be able to hold on to something with a hole. So I tend to use a nice solid cup. You'll notice that I'm not using any knots to start this. I'm using 3 little stitches on top of each other so that there's no lumps or bumps, because this is right into the armpit, and if you had a great big lumpy knot at the beginning of your stitching, that would really be uncomfortable, to say the least. And the idea of doing this is that we're making the garment functional again. Darning isn't particularly beautiful. It tends to leave things quite visible, but I'll do it. This will make it nice and strong again, and then we'll see if we can't pretty it up afterwards. Maybe it'll turn out nice. Who knows? So, now I have finished around the outside edge of my work, and you can see that it's made a solid chain around the outside of the hole and all of the area around that's frayed and damaged. Next thing I'm going to do is bring the thread to the front and start making weaving across the area. The idea of this is that you start at one edge of the patch that needs to be formed and then work all of the stitches one way first and then you can weave through them going the other way afterwards. You'll see. Okay, so I have now done all of the up and down stitches, or weft, and now I need to do the side to side stitches, or weave. This is basically just making a woven patch. So I am going to have to join on more thread. I didn't quite leave enough here. And because I've done this as quite a solid mass, you're not going to be able to see it very clearly. But basically, all I'm going to do is go under one and then over one, under one, over one. So I'm doing a very simple weave just to strengthen up this hole under here. Now that I have finished the little weaving backward and forward, I'm just going to put 3 little stitches at the edge here where I've woven across 2 just to seal it off, and then this little patch is done. Now this cardigan actually has many. I don't know if you can see very clearly, but look, there's another one there on the other side like that, and there's a couple along the collar. So there is going to be a lot of patching that I have yet to do, but this method of weaving in a little patch makes a nice strong repair that will hopefully last for years to come. I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do to make these look like they blend in now. Is a job I should have done, well, back when it was a little bit warmer. I need to get these peach trees a little bit under control. These are white peaches, and I'm pruning out all of the dead, damaged and diseased wood, but also I am taking a lot of this new growth, the really tall, upright stuff out, so that I've got enough sunlight and air getting in to actually ripen up my fruits, because these are still very small and hard and green, and it's getting really quite late in the season. I hope they will ripen, but to that end, a little bit of a drastic chop. Time for the big boy shears. Ah! One of the lovely things about having these nice straight bits that we've pruned off is that we're getting to plan for next year. This will make a wonderful bean stick once I let it dry. So, an unexpected gift, once I clean all these little bits off, is a nice straight bean stick. Well, this is a treat. This is my first calendula flower this year. These are those ones I sowed from seed, and they were a little bit late. And now the flowers are a little bit late, but there are more coming. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more buds on there. They're also often infused in oil and used for making homemade type cosmetics, things like lip gloss, and combined with beeswax to make like a hand cream. But I don't think my 5, 6, maybe even 7 flowers are going to produce the sort of harvest I'm going to need to do anything like that. I'm just hoping that they'll make some seeds. I can collect the seeds, and then maybe we can try again next year. this is about the end of the bean harvest. They're starting to get quite thin and quite sad looking, the beans. I think they're just about done. The days are getting noticeably shorter and the beans are getting noticeably smaller. But these have been a glorious harvest, and I'm very thankful that we do still have them going. This is September after all, so my mahune, or beans, have done a pretty good job this season. And down underneath them, I've got some sage. Now this here has done so much better than I thought. This is just coming up beautifully, and I've been picking it lots and popping it in soups and stews already, but it's just looking glorious. I'm really pleased with how this little part of the garden bed's going. I'm just trying to break up some of this rough soil. This is where my potatoes were, and I'm just trying to get what they call a fine tilth, which means breaking up all the clumps and making it quite fine, small soil. So cultivating that a little bit, trying to break up some of the clumps. And then I'm going to plant out these turnips. Now they are a very sorry bunch. I have had terrible luck this year with my seeds. Most things just are not starting. And if they do start, like the few in here that did, they have been ravaged by something. This time, I think it's actually grasshoppers. I have seen so many grasshoppers around these. So, instead of lamenting the loss of the turnips, what I'm going to do is just plant the whole block out. Because it's so thinly sown, it's only got 2 in there, I can plant the whole block out, and hopefully they'll grow into something. But I'm not holding my breath with these. I think this is just going to be a little bit of a loss. I might get lucky. That one looks like he might be an alright turnip if he gets going, but there's literally just one seed that's made it in there. Now you can tell that these are turnip family, I mean the same family as radishes. They've all got these little heart-shaped cotyledon leaves, or seed leaves actually is the other name, but you can see they've got these little heart-shaped leaves happening. So we'll pop them in anyway, and hopefully they'll do something. You never know your luck. Just in here I have my tsikla, or beetroot, and this little clump that I planted here by my brand new cardigan, or sage seedling that I've just started. The last of the first batch of beetroots that I planted, and they've started to get a little bit attacked by something, so it's definitely time for these to come up. Ooh, that's a good looking beetroot, it's a good size. But I think we're going to have some roast vegetables for dinner, and I think these will be delicious. Oh yeah, there you go. Good size for a dinner for 2. There's been a lot of shoulds that have been happening. It's something I'm trying to think about and reflect on. There have been so many shoulds this year. Seeds that should have started, plants that should have sprouted, stepping stones that should have been made, trees that should have been pruned. It feels like there's a whole weight of shoulds that are building up this year. And I think we need to kind of focus on letting go of some of those shoulds. A practice for me to work on this week. And I hope you find time this week to let go, or at least practice and try to let go of some of those things that are weighing down on your heart and on your mind. But I think that's about all we've got time for this week. If you like what we're doing, please like the video. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you want notifications, use the bell icon below. And until next time, do widzenia.